What's up everybody, Sam's Mice here. Today I want to show you to make the main synth to Fireflies by Owl City. Now luckily Owl City posted a video recently, maybe a few weeks ago, of him showing the breakdown of how he made Fireflies in Logic. But when he did show the main synth and how he made it, he just showed the audio file. He didn't break down the actual synth that he used or anything like that. So I figured that I'd try to remake the sound in Serum and show how you could get something similar to what he had in the original song. Before we get started today, if you are watching this video, then you're probably seen some of my other videos. And if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe. And also, please go ahead and give this video a like to help with that YouTube algorithm. All right, let's go and jump right into it. Now, when I first heard this song, I thought that this synth was made up of maybe a square wave. And I was trying to remake it using a square wave and then a filter. So if I just go into basic shapes, put in a square wave, and then put on a filter, I kind of thought this would be the starting point. Something like that. So I was trying to make the synth using a square wave, but then I stumbled upon that video that Owl City made a few weeks ago, and he said that he used just a sine wave and then add a bit of pluckiness to that sine wave.
The intro is a synth sound that I made out of a single sine wave. All I did to it was just add a quick plucking motion to the front of each note.
So when I do just use a sine wave though, it sounds a bit too soft. Like in the song, it has this buzziness to it. So I realized that I can't just use this sine wave in the basic shapes, and then also I have to figure out how to add in that plucky sound. So I went to some of the other shapes, the other wavetables in the analog options. So I went to Basic Mini. And so Basic Mini, and the thing with some of these other wavetables is that I think they're modeled after like analog synths. And with analog synths, you have some imperfections within the wave form or the actual like wavetable if you look at these. So if you select a sine wave on an analog synth, then it's not going to be a perfect sine wave. So if I go through Basic Mini, this is basically like a saw wave, and this is kind of like maybe a triangle wave or a sine wave. To me, this looks close enough to a sine wave and sounds similar to a sine wave. So this is what I just ended up using. I ended up using this Basic Mini wavetable, which sounds like that. And so it has a bit of that sine wave feel, but also has that top end buzziness. So I went with this Basic Mini. And after that, I need to go ahead and figure out how to do some of that portamento sound that you hear. Some of the notes slide and glide together. So if I go to my portamento, and I'm just going to raise this up a few milliseconds, like 33 milliseconds. And if I go to my MIDI notes, I have some of the notes overlapping. So let's go and play these three notes that overlap. So now we can hear them gliding in between the notes, but you still have that attack at the beginning of each of the notes. And I want to get rid of that attack. So I'm going to go to mono and turn on mono. And now you'll hear them glide really smoothly in between these three notes. Like that. So that's what I needed to do for that sound. Now I got to figure out how to make that clicky noise at the beginning of each note. So let me just show you a few things that you could do. And I don't know what he did exactly and what synth he used. So I just have to try and figure out how I can recreate something similar. Now, the first way obviously is we can go into our noise, and you have things like your kick attack, which are going to add just a clicky sound. So you could do some kind of one of these kick attacks and put on one shot. And then you get that clicky noise at the beginning. But I felt like that the clicky noise was maybe following the notes a bit more. So I figured that I could try doing something else. And the other ways that I can do this is I can go to my alpha 1 and shape it like this. And I can put this on envelope mode. And I'm using alpha 1 instead of just using an envelope, because I could also do the same thing. I could use an envelope here and shape it like this. The reason I'm using an alpha 1 is because I can actually go to my rate. So I'm going to turn this off BPM, and I can make this really, really fast. Otherwise, I'd have to go into my envelope and then zoom in and adjust it. And I just feel like sometimes it's a bit easier to go into your alpha 1 and do these things. So I'm going to go to my alpha 1, and I can assign it to the chorus tuning, and I'll hit shift and option so it only goes unipolar. It was bipolar before. And now we've got 12. So if I play this, and so that's starting 12 notes above and then going down really fast, and then adds that clicky noise depending on how fast the rate is. And if I want to increase the clicky noise, I can increase the amount of this coarse tuning. So now that sounds really close, and I thought maybe that was it. But when it goes to the higher notes, it has a bit of that pitch effect, so you can actually hear like it really quickly going from a high pitch to a low pitch. And I wasn't sure if I heard that in the original sound. So I figured maybe I'd try a different way than using the coarse tuning. So then I can go to my warp knob, and I've got some options to go through in my warp knob. So let me assign LFO1 to my warp knob, and I could go to my oscillator B, put this on like a sine wave and lower this level. And then I could try something like FM, and then it'll quickly add in some FM. So now it's got a bit more of that kind of brightness at the beginning of each note hit, which sounds like something that possibly I wanted, but doesn't have that clickiness. So then I decided, well, maybe it wasn't just doing an FM. So then after the FM, I went to sync. And now we can check out sync. And let's go and turn off oscillator B. We're not even using that. And if I play around with this rate, and this has a bit more of that feel that I wanted, that I heard in the original sound. So at the beginning of the note, that clickiness, as I slow this down, it feels a bit more metallic-y. It's not like the pitch is going from a higher pitch to a lower pitch. It just sounds like a bit of a metallic-y, clicky sound. And so that's what I wanted. So I'm just going to set this to, let's say, around 50. And then that is how I'm going to get that clicky sound. So now I got to add in some of the effects. I'm just going to do some EQing. Just take out some frequencies around 130 hertz or so, and put that up there. And then I can add on my delay. And this is where you get basically that iconic sound. So you can do the ping pong, or you can just do normal and do the ping pong however you want it by adjusting the left and right, just making sure this link is not checked on. So I'm gonna do left 1/8, and then on the right I'll do 1/4. And let's raise up this mix a tiny bit. So now we're super close, and I think maybe that is just it. You could try to add in a bit of extra reverb. So maybe just some light hall reverb. I can put on a reverb and fill it in with the reverb. So I'm gonna go into this MIDI, and I think this MIDI is relatively right. I don't think the last 3 notes bend, so I'm gonna shorten them. So let me go ahead and just show you the MIDI so you can see all the notes, and I'll play it from the start. So that's basically how I would recreate that synth sound in Fireflies. So if you want to do something that is like a sine wave sounding synth, you don't have to just use the basic sine wave and the basic shapes. You can go to these other basic options here, and they have other things that are similar to a sine wave. So that's kind of like a sine wave, and so you can kind of scroll through these and use whichever one you like the best. And then also to get that clicky sound at the beginning of your synth. And it doesn't have to be a synth that sounds like this one. It could be any synth. To get that clicky sound, then you can try any of those options that I showed you using just the noise oscillator, putting the kick attack, the attack sound from a kick on there, using the coarse tuning to create that pitch click noise, using the sync option, or using the FM. So if you do want to grab this preset, I'll put a link down below for you to grab it for free. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a like, and also please subscribe to my channel if you are not yet subscribed. And if you'd like to check out any of my senior preset packs, I'll put links down below for those as well. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.